You know, if you've ever worked in a big company, you've definitely heard the talk about the procurement department. They're the slow ones, the roadblocks, the source of endless frustration. But what if that whole story, that entire perception, is just wrong? Today, let's get into the reality of what procurement actually does.
Okay, so the big one. The complaint you hear all the time is that they're slow. The second procurement gets involved, everything just seems to grind to a halt, right?
And right behind that is this idea that they're basically the department of no, that their whole job is just to throw up barriers right when your project is finally getting some real momentum.
And then there's the real gut punch. The accusation that by being so obsessed with process, they actually snuff out new ideas, that they stop the company from working with exciting, cutting-edge partners.
But hold on a second. If all that is true, if they're so useless, why is it that when a procurement person says just 3 little words, "This is risky," the entire executive team stops dead in their tracks? There's something else going on here. Let's unpack it.
First off, we gotta understand the role procurement often gets stuck playing, and that's the corporate scapegoat. They are the easy target, the department that takes the blame when things go wrong, even when the real issues are way more complicated.
And you've seen this play out, right? A project runs late. Oh, must be a procurement delay. The budget gets blown. Well, procurement obviously didn't negotiate hard enough. And if a supplier completely fails, the first question everybody asks is, how in the world did procurement approve them? It's the easiest play in the book.
All right, so let's actually pull apart one of these famous delays. Let's look under the hood and see what's really happening, because it's usually a very different story from the one people tell.
It almost always kicks off the same way. Some department has an urgent need, like they needed a vendor yesterday, but the request that lands in procurement's inbox is, let's be honest, usually half-baked. It's missing a clear scope, it doesn't have a realistic budget, the compliance docs are nowhere to be found. So, procurement does its job. They start asking basic, necessary questions. And that's it. That's the moment the villain is born. Because for a team that's in a rush, those questions don't feel like due diligence. They feel like resistance. And this is the key thing to understand. What looks like a delay from the outside is actually procurement cleaning up chaos on the inside. They're not creating the problem. They're trying to turn a messy, risky request into something that won't explode down the line. You know what this really boils down to is 2 totally different ways of seeing the world. What a business team is focused on and what procurement has to focus on are just 2 completely different realities. Yeah. This lays it out perfectly. The department's view is simple. It's the tip of the iceberg. We want this supplier now. But procurement's job is to look at the massive, dangerous part of the iceberg that's underwater. They have to ask, is this supplier going to go bankrupt next month? What's our legal exposure if we sign this? Are there compliance gaps that will get us fined? What are the hidden costs? They have to see the whole messy picture. And this right here is the absolute heart of the problem. When procurement does its job right, nothing happens. The disaster is avoided. The lawsuit never gets filed. The audit goes smoothly. Good prevention is totally invisible. But man, when something goes wrong, that failure is incredibly loud, and everyone's looking for someone to point the finger at. So that brings us to what procurement is really for. They're not just paper pushers or negotiators. They're the company's last line of defense against some very real and often hidden dangers. And this traps them in this crazy no-win situation. A paradox. Think about it. If they block a risky supplier that some department is excited about, they're just slowing things down. But if they give in to the pressure, approve that same supplier, and it all goes sideways, the question immediately becomes, why didn't procurement do their job and stop this? They literally can't win. So let's redefine the job description right here. Procurement's real mission is to absorb risk for the entire company. Their purpose isn't customer service, and it's not to make every single person happy. It's to ensure the company survives. It's about making the tough, unpopular calls that protect the whole organization from itself sometimes. So look, the next time you feel that frustration with procurement building up, just pause for a second and ask yourself a question. Are they really blocking progress, or are they trying to prevent a catastrophic mistake that nobody else is seeing, or frankly, that nobody else wants to be responsible for?